Breakfast Central.
Yes, you're welcome back to Breakfast Central. Now, still on the top stories we have for you today, Nigeria, just yesterday, the southeastern part of Nigeria witnessed an unusual occurrence, the sit-at-home order by IPOB. Now, recall that the indigenous people of Biafra, that is IPOB, had last week issued its sit-at-home order in the southeast with the threat to deal with those who might violate it.
Well, this is celebrating the fallen heroes. That's what they're saying, IPOB, of the region during the Nigerian Civil War of 1967 to 1970. And what and how did the day pan out? And what is it? How is it all going down in the east yesterday of Nigeria? That's what we're going to be finding out. Let's bring on journalist and who's also based in Enugu State, which is the eastern part of Nigeria, Jude Thomas Dawan, and public affairs analyst who's regular on Breakfast, Chukwuma Okenwa. Good morning, gentlemen. All right, Chukwuma, good morning to you. Welcome back to Breakfast Central.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Chukwuma. All right, so let's start with the very basic. Let's start with you. Now, how did this sit-at-home order pan out yesterday? What were your observations?
I would say it was indeed massive. The level of compliance was very great. But of course, three factors made it so. First is there were those that were scared because of the heavy security presence. And we can recall that the IGP's recent visit in Enugu, where he ordered his men to shoot at sight and that they are going to deal ruthlessly with the IPOB members. So many people envisaged there could be possible clashes between the security forces and the IPOB faithfuls. And that, of course, inspired people or advised people to stay away from the street and from their regular work.
All right.
Two is also that there was this concern that maybe if you're a business owner, because business is like certainly complied, of course, you don't run business in the vacuum, you have your staff, you are concerned of their safety. And the third group of persons that, the third reason why many people complied is we are talking about a day to remember the fallen heroes. The Biafran heroes, over 3 million lives that were lost during the Nigerian Biafran war. It's massive. It's something that is not out of place. If the nation should recognize that a day like this could be set aside where we can actually reflect on one aspect of history that have shaped the current day of Nigeria. Unfortunately, some of the things that we agitated for, and from 1967, some of the things that led to the war are still very much visible in today's Nigeria, and it is sad to note.
All right, we are now joined by Jude Thomas Dawan, who's a journalist also based in Enugu. Jude, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Central.
Thank you so much. It's great. Thank you for having me as well.
All right, Jude, what were the observations about yesterday's sit-at-home order in many states in southeastern Nigeria?
The truth is everybody stayed at home. The people stayed at home because you didn't even know what to expect. At some point, the streets were really clear. We couldn't go out because it wasn't just the stay at home alone. There was also the fear of whether or not the security agencies are going to see you walking on the street and mistake you for, whether the unknown gunman or the, IPOB. So it was a very difficult one for us because we didn't really know how to navigate the streets yesterday, and work was also pretty difficult. You're going out and you don't know the answers. If anybody stops you, you're not just dealing with the people saying stay at home alone, you're also dealing with, the security agencies as well.
All right, Chukwuma, and we also have Jude Thomas, because we really, for those of us who are not in the southeast, and even for people watching across Africa, this sit-at-home order was, declared by IPOB. It wasn't declared by the federal government, in those eastern states. Now, are we saying that, IPOB enforced the compliance, or the security agencies enforced the compliance? Because we're seeing empty streets all around the east. So who enforced the compliance, basically? Because it's not a federal law, so to speak, though many might say it does have its validation. So who will really enforce this?
Well, I think both platforms, whether you're talking about IPOB or the security agency, they are both, they played significant roles, because, I mean, the whole thing started gathering cloud when, like, for any time there's going to be like a day of remembrance like this, you see like a lot more of troops of security agencies deployed to the southeast. We've seen in time past like some operations like Operation Python Dance, you understand, Operation Crocodile Smiles, particularly targeted to this season. So yes, though the government has not validated that it ought to be a public holiday, but for the government also to respond along that line also gives it some level of capacity. It gives it some level of concern. It shows that yes, even though the government is not endorsing this, all the same, they also know that a day like this is very significant. So the government actually, through wrong policies, made this whole thing, to become really very, very massive and significant. But then another aspect to the whole thing is, 3 years back, when like some renowned elites from the southeastern part of the country began to see that if this whole thing is not properly checked, it could translate to another form of war. And then on such day, like usually it was such day, like the likes of OBS, the likes of Kingsley Mohalo, started trending the hashtag Ozemen, right? Okay. That is because it's obvious that many young people of this generation do not know what war looks like. So when you have the IPOB leader speaking about war, you take it by force, you do all of that, you use aggression. Many people, all they just see is the fancy of, trying to like channel their youthful exuberances, but we had like some of our elders begin to weigh in on such day and say, yes, Ozemen, but all the same, we are going to dedicate such a day to remember our fallen heroes. And I think that is not out of place.
All right, Jude Thomas, for you, who basically enforced it, because if it was the federal government that declared a curfew or sit-at-home order, we know that it's the police that enforces. So if IPOB declares, is it IPOB on the streets, because this place looks empty from what we're seeing, yesterday?
Yes, it does look empty, but enforcing it, I think, like he said, both parties helped to enforce it, because the police, the federal government, on the other hand, didn't want its citizens to die, and they all came out to protect what we already are scared of. Because before now, I think there's been this situation of attacks on different police stations or police standpoints and everything. So people are a little bit scared because they really don't know what the situation will be. But I think it was from both parties, because there were threats coming from, of course, the IPOB leader calling on some particular states, most especially, he spoke about Enugu, he spoke about Abia, and then Ebonyi. He said they were stubborn, and if you want to live, come out and let's see. Now, I think for that, the police also came out to kind of protect. So you don't get in between, what they call it, those bullets that are not meant for you. So I think it's a mixture of both. We haven't gotten to the point where I would also want to point out that I think the southeastern governors also have a reason and a place to play in this, because they need to go back and sit down and understand what is really happening. Someone is, giving out instructions, and it's making everybody panic, and also is messing up businesses and messing up the economy as well. But I just hope that this is an eye-opener for us, and of course the media, the federal government, and of course the state government as well. So I think it was both parties that made us stay at home.
All right, now, Jude, talking about the economy, let's look at the economic implication of this action that happened just yesterday. Now, looking at Anambra and Abia states, which are known as the commercial hub of the southeastern region, and this order meant that a lot of money was lost just yesterday. Tell us about the economic implication of the sit-at-home order.
I think it's going to be huge. People might not understand it until after maybe a week or two. But, if you're a businessman, you understand that you always have to go to work to sell, unlike people who get salaries at the end of the month. Now, shutting down an economy completely and nothing to, fall back on is really not good. Now, Southeast is, of course, known for its businesses and creating business every day. But this has affected it, most especially for yesterday. Shops were shut down. Nobody opened. Fast foods, you couldn't find fast food for people who were just coming into the city. A couple of my friends flew in yesterday, but they couldn't come out of the airport and all of that. So yes, after a week, we might just get to understand what it really is to us, and what the economy problem will be in future.
All right, for Chukwuma, before we go, where do we go from here? Because the whole of Nigeria watched the Southeast shut down for a day, and it wasn't a federal government declaration. There are state governors in those states who actually, didn't kick against it, but it still happened all the same. And just like you both indicated, enforced by both IPOB, perhaps nonchalantly, and effectively by the police. So where do we go from here?
I think the government needs to rejig this strategy in terms of applying more of what we call, in the military parlance, psychological operations. In a recent course I completed at the Defense Intelligence College, there is what is called psychological operation, and that should be geared towards winning the hearts of Nigerians.
Okay.
Honestly, it does appear that people in the Southeast would align more with IPOB, share more with their sentiments than even the police, because over the time, don't forget that just last year we all protested, the NSAS protest, and it was all about police brutality. So and as it is now, it has not been established anywhere where IPOB, like as IPOB, to claim for attacking people, like just come up in a place and start killing people and all the rest of it. In fact, even the unknown gunmen who we may or may not associate with IPOB, you see a situation where they could come in an area to attack, and they live like, okay, even guide people on their safety, advise them not to come out and stuff like that. So this is all about the battle of the mind, and the federal government must not lose on it. The federal government must explore every options to work first on the mind of the people, assure their confidence that they are safe. We keep having incidences of Fulani herdsmen, and it appears the government is not doing enough, so it's already a threat, and IPOB is leveraging on that to assure people a counter-narrative that with ESN, they are more secure. So government must do everything possible to win the confidence of the people, assure them that they are safe with them, and most importantly, get the people to be part of the security architecture. With that, we can go forward.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the program today. Jude Thomas Dawan, a journalist out there in Enugu, and Chukwuma Okenwa, also public affairs analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on Breakfast Central.